To start off, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. For today's presentation, the focus will be about tips for the NMSDC conference that's coming up actually next week. Now, for those who are not aware about, what the NMSDC conference is, just a quick overview. It is the largest certifying agency when it comes to minority businesses in America, with over 12,000 currently verified suppliers. Each year, they host a national conference where they connect minority businesses with corporations. So we're going to get into a little bit more about kind of what they do, how they function, how they help, as well as what you can do at the conference. But for today's presentation, I really wanted to focus more so on, newer suppliers that this may be their first or second year attending the conference, and they just want a couple of tips and pointers for someone who's been, for a couple of years and kind of understands the whole hustle and bustle when it comes to the NMSDC. Now, before we get into myself and kind of what I have to say and some of my experiences, I do want to let you know that this presentation is brought to you by, Supplierty News. So, as I'm pretty sure a lot of you who are on the call today are aware, we do have a website called, suppliertynews.com, where we provide information that focuses on supplier diversity in small business. If you are interested in kind of signing up for our, newsletter, as well as subscribing to the website, there is information on that here. As you can see, if you decide to sign up, you have access to unlimited articles that we provide, again, focusing on supplier diversity, small business, essentially topics like this, as well as additional topics such as, where are opportunities with corporations and things of that nature. Usually, we do charge, a quick fee, 99 cents for the first month, and then $5.99 after that. However, for today's presentation, as a thanks for joining us, we do have a discount code for those who are interested in subscribing and learning more about supplier diversity and small business and some of the information that we write. It is valid until October 31st, so definitely we would urge those who are interested to definitely check it out and subscribe. Excuse me. Now, once again, my name is Jamie White. Just a brief history about myself. I've been in supplier diversity for about 7 to 8 years now, starting in 2011. So I guess 8 years, going on 9. But throughout my history within this industry, I've attended the conference about 7 times now. Funny enough, this year the conference will be in Atlanta, so this is my second time going to Atlanta to attend the conference. So throughout my time kind of exposed to the conference, I have found some things that I do believe would help newer suppliers for their first or second time. So, definitely wanted to share my experience and some of the things that I've learned through the conference. I have one business from people that I've met at the conference before. So I am talking from, experience in terms of how I've done it and how I've won it. I've also been rejected by companies at the conference as well. So definitely want to give you my experience and let you know some of the do's and don'ts and, how you can operate throughout the huge conference next week. Now, what is the NMSDC if you're not aware? So I gave a brief kind of overview of the organization, but as you can see here, took this straight from their website. The National Minority Supplier Development Council advances business opportunities for certified minority business enterprises, and it connects them to corporate members. So really that networking piece, connecting minority businesses with corporations that are looking for them, just to put it simply. And as you can see, a couple of their stats here, over 12,000 certified minority businesses, 23 affiliate regional councils nationwide, and over 1,400 corporate members. So what is the NMSDC conference? The second point is really key here. More than 6,000 corporations will attend seeking to connect with minority-owned businesses. So this can include, obviously, the large companies. I'm not going to name any corporations today. Don't want to give, any piece to think that they're, supporting this or or anything along, or us being affiliated with them in any way, but just any large corporation that you can think of throughout the world, most likely will have some type of representation at this conference. In addition, corporations don't just include, the billions and billions dollar companies. They can also be small businesses as well that are looking to connect with minority conferences. And, for myself owning a business, I have done business with large corporations and also small business. And, the pay was the exact same. So, making money throughout both types of companies is something that you can definitely look at in terms of opportunities. Now, when it comes to the conference, it's a 4-day event. More than 20 targeted sessions and workshops happen around the first couple of days. And then after that, you have the 1-day business opportunity exchange with more than 700 exhibit booths. So today I'm going to be focusing in on that trade fair / business opportunity exchange, because that's really when you're able to meet a ton of people and connect there. They also have matchmakers events by appointment only. So if that has passed, but for next year, if you think you may qualify for an opportunity with the corporation, I would definitely advise you to reach out to the NMSDC and see if you can qualify for a one-on-one or a designated one-on-one with a company. So things to know. With over 6,000 organizations attending the event each year, there's a high chance you will meet a company looking to do business in your industry. Probably like a 99% chance that somebody out there is looking for your type of company. May not be you specifically, but your type of service. There's a very high probability somebody's looking for it. Today's event, or this year's event, will take place between October 13th and the 16th, and it will be in Atlanta, Georgia, at the Georgia World Congress Center. As you can see, NMSDCconference.com for more information. Now, let's kind of get into the basics. So I'm assuming that everyone on the call kind of understands what a conference is and kind of how that goes, what a trade fair is. Essentially what you have is one location where you have tons and tons of exhibitor booths of corporations and minority-owned businesses that you can go to each booth, tell them a little bit about your company, and, hope to win business. Just making it very, very basic. But here's some additional things that you should be aware of going into the conference. So as you can see, now we know that the location of the conference is the Georgia World Congress Center this year. So what the NMSDC offers every year is actually hotels that are located right next to the conference as well. So as you can see, every year NMSDC offers hotels. Usually it costs between $150 and $250 a night. These hotels are also locations for several after trade shows or pre-trade show events. So they're actually really good to, if you can, be located in. I remember last year I was at one of the host hotels, if you will, and was able to attend a few events, just simply going or just simply staying within my hotel, as well as, participating at the trade fair, which was like a 2-minute walk from the hotel. In addition, they also have, for any event that's located, maybe 10, 15 minutes away within driving distance, they also have shuttles. So it really helps when it comes to the expense when you really think about it, versus, paying for an Uber or a Lyft or anything, just taking that free shuttle that they have at the host hotels, usually about, 4 or 5 of them, that you can get into and again, really save money when you think about it in the long run. What you should bring when it comes to attending this trade fair, and again, we're focusing on the trade fair here, but obviously dress in business formal. You don't have to go too far out, like you don't have to wear any tuxedos or anything, but for men, obviously, suit and tie. For women, dress formal. I'm not going to get too specific because the formal, when it comes to ladies, is a little bit more, I guess, expanded, but generally for that, just what you feel is business formal that will get across that, you're a professional and that you can get your business done. Really key point here, bring shoes that are comfortable. That's for both men and women. I do know there are always a lot of first-timers, particularly females, who come in with heels. That's not a good idea. You may want to come in with heels, sure, but definitely switch off to, any type of shoes where you can walk around the conference floor with. That is extremely important. Every year, there's always people who come in and haven't thought about that, and by lunchtime, they've got their heels off and they're walking with their heels just because it's hurting their feet. So, definitely seems like a small thing, but it's really important. Next up, business cards. And then after that, capability statement. Now, for business cards, this is extremely important. When you're talking to a client or a potential client, even if they tell you that there is no opportunity, still leave your business card. One time, in my experience, I actually was talking to, a company, and they said, hey, we don't have an opportunity right now, but, leave your business card and, maybe we'll see what happens. So I left my business card, and no joke, about a year and a half later, I got a call, and they were like, hey, are you still in operation? Do you still do, the service that you said you provide? I told them yes, and within, 3 weeks, I had a deal. So leaving a business card, if you can leave a note on your business card, what have you, that is very, very important, and it can lead to future dollars. And the capability statement for potential. So for that piece, it's really more geared toward people who are serious about learning more about your company. You don't want to hand that out to just anyone. If you think that there is a really good chance that you may win a business, definitely have them your capability statement so that they know a little bit more about your company. So when you follow up, you know more about what you do and remember what you do. So I put this slide here. Next up for this slide is selling is like baseball. Now, if you're not familiar with selling, I'm not going to go too specific when it comes to selling, but just the idea of going to a conference and speaking with as many people as possible. It's really like baseball, right? Don't worry about the no's. Every no gets you closer to a yes. So I've gotten, hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of no's right now, but that's fine because the object is to get to that yes, right? So, I use the example of Peter Alonso, who leads the MLB in home runs, or at least when I wrote this, it was by the end of September. He had 589 at-bats, and he had 51 home runs. But yet he is the leader, because the season's already ended. He was the leader for home runs for the season. So that's about an 8.6% home run rate. So keep on swinging, right? It's not really, how many times you strike out. As long as you keep swinging, as long as you're getting to those yeses, just keep that in mind as you're going through the conference. So if you get 10, 15 no's in a row, that's fine, as long as you're getting to those yeses throughout the conference. Now, if the entire conference you just get nothing but no's, then you may want to kind of come back and reevaluate kind of how you're selling or what your business is. But, keep going, even if you get, 5, 6, 7 no's, as long as you can get to those next few yeses. Okay, now, who to target? Well, the example that I gave before, Peter Alonso, he, out of 589 at-bats, you got 51 home runs. Make sure you're swinging at the right pitches, right? You don't want to be swinging at pitches that are just terrible for you. You want to make sure that you're targeting companies that, are right and good opportunities for you yourself. So this is more so for newer companies, but if you are new, you may not want to go straight ahead for the larger companies. When it comes to the big guys, which the larger, more familiar companies that everyone's aware of, a lot of times they don't want to do business directly with suppliers that don't have a lot of experience in the industry, and that's okay. What you want to do in those cases is try to check out their tier ones. Now, a tier one is basically companies that are already doing business with a larger company that you are, hopefully wanting to do business with eventually. And if you're not familiar with these tier ones, which are, their defined term in the industry, you can simply just go to these corporations and say, hey, I want to do business with you, try your luck, go for it. You got nothing to lose. But if they say no, just say, hey, I do understand that you're also doing business with other tier ones. Who are tier ones that may need my business, and who are the tier ones that I should be talking to? The reason being is again, corporations don't like to do business with newer suppliers on that level. And also, and a lot of times, that's the first question that they'll ask you is, hey, I want to do business with you, whatever that company name is. And they'll just try to ask you, okay, who are you doing business with right now? What tier ones are you doing business with? If you don't have any, that may be a stop right there. So targeting those tier ones is definitely a really good idea when it comes to a huge conference like this. So a few things to understand. The trade show is big. One person is not enough. Now, this may seem like, oh, okay, sure, with 6,000 companies in attendance, you may be overreacting. I may be able to do this one person. I know when I did my first trade fair, and people were like, hey, one person isn't enough. I ended up coming with two. It was me and my business partner. And we were like, okay, one person isn't enough, but, maybe two is, So we came and we hit the floor, and we didn't come close to hitting half of our bigger targets. So just keep in mind, this is a huge conference. You will be waiting in lines. So because of that, it's going to add to the amount of time and the amount of companies that you can connect with. Try to shoot for, I would say, have a list of 50. Even then, that might be a little bit too much, but just have a list of 50 if you can get to that, and try to get as many as you can. Obviously, rank them by the companies that are most likely to do business with you. But try to do 50, and then try to get as many as you can. The reason why I say 50 is because you may go to one company and they just may always have a line, right? So sometimes it happens like that. So you want to have other companies that you can potentially connect with while you're waiting for those lines to shrink. In addition, you may go to a company and the person just may not be there. So just have that list of probably like 30 to 50, and then hit as many as you can. Also, no contracts will be given at the conference. Please keep that in mind. Be respectful of your time as well as the people behind you's time. I know I've been there, and people want to talk for, no lie, 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes about their product. And, I understand, unless the company is saying, hey, a bid is going out next week, then by all means have at it. But 95% of the time, that's not going to be the case. And because of that, just be respectful for other people's time as well as your own, because you do need to talk to as many companies as possible, especially if you're new. So definitely keep that in mind. Have your elevator pitch ready. Obviously the 30-second pitch. Be able to hit your key points as much as possible, and as quick as possible. And know who you're talking to. Don't sell to the logistics purchaser if you're not in logistics. First couple of times I went to this conference, I definitely made that mistake. I would give my elevator pitch, have a conversation for 2-3 minutes, and then at the end of it, they'd be like, "Well, I'm actually not the purchaser, and I actually don't know who that purchaser is." And that was really a waste of time for myself, and quite frankly, as well as theirs as well. So trying to figure out who the person you need to talk to is important. It could be something as simple as, "Hey, my name is Jamie White. I'm looking for the person within logistics," or "I'm looking for the person within IT. Can you point, whoever, or I'm looking for the person who handles, such and such data." Whatever you do, just go in, ask that first qualifying question so you can understand who you're talking to and get to the right person. A yes does not mean a yes, and a no does not mean a no. Can't say that hard enough. I've had many times at conferences where people have told me, yes, we're looking to do business by the end of the year, and nothing comes to fruition. And I've had people say, no, we're not interested in that. And 3 months later, they're like, hey, you still do that? Something we need. So keep that in mind. That's why you always leave your business card. Take notes. I can guarantee you will not remember every conversation you have. So when you get a business card, just take notes. Whatever you guys have been talking about, so you can make sure you know what to follow up on, and then always leave your business card. I cannot say that enough. Always leave your business card. Strategy matters. Research helps, but it's not everything, right? There are going to be, I don't want to be too harsh on it, but, I've done times where I've researched a company, talked about how my company connects with their, strategy, their sustainability strategy, and things of that nature, and they're kind of looking at me like, oh, okay, I don't know our sustainability strategy, but that's nice. So research does help, but it's not the only thing. Know your company and what you do, and know what their need is. That's really the big piece, and how you fit into their need. You can go further than that if you think that'll help. Just make sure that you hit your key points when it comes to a conference like this, just because it's just so big. You're trying to get to as many people as possible. Not all opportunities are good opportunities for you. There are going to be opportunities where people say, hey, I've got this opportunity where we need to do, $10 million worth. And if you're a small business and you're just starting, that may not be a good opportunity for you right now. And that's okay. Build up to those. We talked about this. If you're under 3 years old, be prepared to explain why you're a solid company. Same goes for if you only have 1 or 2 companies. You will have to have a quick explanation as to why you're the best in your industry when you're competing against other companies that may have more experience or more customers. I remember the 10% rule in sales. They say you actually close on about 10% of the people that you actually speak to. So definitely keep that in mind and hit as many qualified people as possible when it comes to opportunities. And be prepared for a lot of no's, and that's okay. No's are okay. It's just getting you to the yes. The math behind it all. So when it comes to this, please keep in mind that you're probably going to spend about $1,000 to $1,500 on this conference, and that's if you're just going to the trade fair. If you're really frugal, you might be able to get it down even more. I think 1 year for me, we might have spent like $700-800. We were being extremely frugal, extremely frugal. So definitely keep that in mind when it comes to the cost of the trade fair itself, which is a couple hundred, plus the hotel, which is a couple hundred, plus your flight, which is a couple hundred. So again, definitely keep that in mind. The general rule is if you can close on at least one company within the 12 months that you attended the event, that's actually a pretty good conference. I know that may seem like a low number, but when you think about the cost versus how much you're making, if you're selling, your product for service for, you win a $5,000 contract, just as an example, don't, not judging or saying it's the low or high for anybody, but if you win a $5,000 contract at this event, you spent $1,000 to go, then that's pretty good, right? So keep that in mind. If you can close on one, maybe two, that's a really good conference. So figure out what the ROI is for you and your company to make sure to have it make sense for you. Now, after the conference, follow up with your contacts. Use your notes to remind you. Like we said, make sure you're taking notes. Use your notes to make sure that you're sending the right emails to the right people. Follow up. So I'm not going to get too involved in terms of like what to do when it comes to the follow up, but just keep in mind that that follow ups are important. I've seen some stats out there that it could take up to like the 12th and 13th time that you're following up to really win a business, which is, I know it's crazy, but these are the facts that we're dealing with. But on average, I think it's like 6 or 7 times to follow up to really win that business, to really get in contact with the person. So just keep in mind that they're busy, which is fine. Just make sure that you stay in front of them as best as you can. And the NMSDC conference takes place at the end of the 2019 budget. So keep in mind that you're really going for 2020 budget. And 2020 budget is usually opened up and then closed in like I want to say like late summer of 2020, early fall. So like June, July to like October-ish, maybe November if it's late. So keep that in mind. Like the people you're meeting with, you're really trying to do business in the following year, and you're really trying to stay in front of them until their budget opens up in the summer. Now, I do have one slide for buyers. If there are any buyers who are going to be at the exhibit booths that we're interested in this as well. Just a couple points here. For buyers, I haven't specifically been on that end myself. However, I have helped out a couple of buyers when it comes to their exhibit booths, so I'm familiar with some of the process, at least for like an hour or two. From what I've seen is, you definitely want to have a go. How many suppliers do you want to meet with? Hey, we want to meet with 5 suppliers and logistics that are qualified suppliers, maybe 5 suppliers and tag, whatever you want to do. Just have some type of go going in there. Make sure you be honest. Make sure you're honest. If someone is explaining something you have no clue about, let them know early on. And if you're not interested in that particular product, let the supplier know as well. Again, from my experience, I've had conversations that have lasted 5-10 minutes only at the very end for them to say, yeah, we're not looking for that, or yeah, I don't know what you're talking about, and I don't know who to point you at. It's a waste of your time as well as mine. I would just say simply as soon as they start and as soon as you either understand what they're doing, but you there's not an opportunity, or you don't understand, just cut them off and just say, hey, I don't understand. I'm not the person, or I know what you're talking about, but there's not any opportunity right now. I'll take your business card, but that's pretty much it. Inform suppliers of your needs, for sure. If you can have like some type of board where it says, hey, this is what we're looking for, that does help. Be prepared for a long day. I can't stress that enough. It will be a long day. Have your water ready. Do what you can. Stay as engaged as you can, but it will be a long day. Collect supplier information. If you have a database or anything, a registration system, definitely use that as well. And then focus on your ROI. At the end of the day, how many suppliers did you meet that are really qualified and can really do business just based off your conversation? And then from that, throughout the year, how many did you actually do business with? Tracking that information is definitely important so you can understand what the ROI is from the NMSDC conference. So, that actually went pretty well. So we got 2 more minutes, but that pretty much is the presentation and some of the tips and tricks that I've learned throughout my time attending the NMSDC conference. Feel free if you want to learn more, if you have any questions. Just in closing, the trade fair, you're going to meet a lot of great people. It's going to be an extremely fun event. Don't be afraid to talk to anyone, really. While there will be 700 exhibiting booths, you're going to have a few large companies there. I do want to point out that there are also going to be a ton of companies that you're not even going to know about that are just going to be simply walking the floor. So talking to anyone and just telling them about your business, like, by all means, do it. That's what you're there for. You may be tired talking about your company, but just keep doing it. From when the time opens to when it closes, keep going, keep going, keep going. So with that being said, I see a question. So I'll answer this question real quick. Oh, okay. Are MBEs more likely to buy from smaller MBEs? It depends on the company. Some corporations it may be easier as an MBE to win business versus other larger MBEs. It really depends on the company, whether that be a minority business or just a general, publicly traded company as well. I can't really. Each company is different. That's something that you definitely have to go out and connect with, the people there and kind of ask them what opportunities are there. I've won business from MBEs. I've won business from corporations. Can't really say either one was harder or easier. I would just say, when the opportunity arose, we were just in the position to win business and we won. So I would talk to both. Target the ones that you think would be good opportunities for yourself and then go for both. But I wouldn't say either one is easier or harder. Are there any other questions? Okay. With that being said, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you guys coming on and looking to learn more about different strategies, tips, and tricks on how to win business at the NMSDC conference. If you see me there, say hey. I have my sign on me and whatnot. I can't think of my lanyard on me. So definitely say hey. I'll definitely say hey back. It's cool. But thank you so much for your time. And I really hope everyone has a good day. And I really hope I see all of you at next week's conference. Thank you and take care.